Hey guys, quick introduction before we get into this amazing podcast I did with my grandpa. We get into some really deep stuff that we truly believe is hugely beneficial to almost practically everyone. Obviously, it's not scripted at all, so it takes us a little bit of time to get into the flow of things, but you really should stick to around the middle to end. The beginning's great, of course, but middle to end is when we just explode and we just get deep, and it is really great. So, really hope you guys enjoy this episode, and let's get right into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pearson Podcast, episode 30. I am joined here with one of my favorite human beings that have ever walked the earth, my grandpa, Don Beck, and I call him Boompa. And today we're going to talk about how he is so incredibly healthy at, are you 77?
I am. I'm
Okay.
77.
Yeah, I mean, and he's practically ripped and he looks like a bodybuilder. And yeah, you're just gonna share your secrets. Well, it's not even secrets, but just share your process, and I'm sure it's gonna be, and it can be applied to people of all ages, right?
Exactly. Well, the main thrust of this is uh, it's how to really be happy about food.
Yeah.
How to be happy in your life, really.
Hmm.
And um, and so many folks, as we all know, really struggle with their their diets and their weight and their
Hmm.
health and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And um, and so this goes way back for me. I remember when I was going to high school. Um, my diet, because it was all about, I wanted to eat things that were really fun for me. So
Hmm.
my diet primarily was potato chips and chocolate chip ice cream.
Yeah.
And it was like, yay.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, I was horribly unhealthy. I was like 16 years old. And, but at least I was having fun eating my thing. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was going to high school and going through adolescence and not very happy, and that age is a really difficult time for kids. And so I was medicating, I'm sure I was medicating with chocolate chip ice cream and potato
Yeah,
chips,
for sure.
barbecue potato chips.
Yeah, that's for
I
sure
never
what it
told you.
is.
I never told you any of this.
No, no. But yeah, that completely makes sense. I am almost 100% sure it's medicating for just maybe I don't like other aspects of my life, so I know when I eat this delicious food, it's just gonna be so exciting, and that's honestly where I am right now. Even, I mean, I'll make these extravagant dinners and they taste super good, but they're not healthy and, fried stuff and blah, blah, blah. But your plan here is basically in being able to have both, right? Being able to still
Oh,
have the stuff
yeah.
you want.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, in order for anything to work, it has to be fun for
Hmm.
me.
Yeah.
I insist on that. I
Hmm.
insist that in my life at 77 years old, you know, I don't know how much time I have, but by gosh, I want to have fun each and every minute
Oh,
and
yeah.
make choices in each and every minute that contribute to my happiness,
Hmm.
and not just happiness for me, particularly as a grandfather, and as a husband,
Hmm.
and a friend and all of that. I
Hmm.
want to be good for my people in my life.
Yeah.
I think a lot of older people are grumpy,
Hmm.
and we were just watching this show last night, Grandma and I, your grandma and I, Maggie and I, about kids that struggle, girls particularly struggle trying to figure out how to be girls in the 21st century, and there's so many pressures on them and stuff,
Yeah.
about how to be, and most of it is they're seeking so much pleasure in the moment. I mean, they're
Mm.
crazy pleasure in the moment, and they're none of them were happy about it.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a quick little fix, like a drug fix almost, whether it was sex or food or whatever the heck it was,
Shopping.
and it all kind of lumps together in a category of instantaneous pleasure seeking
Mm.
doesn't have a good lasting outcome. It
Yeah.
just doesn't. And I'm not a religious guy or any of that. It's just a practical issue. And so, like I say, as a grandfather and and a husband, Maggie and I have been married for 54 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And I want to be good for her,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to stick around for her and all of that. So I don't have any health issues at all.
Mm.
I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have cholesterol problems. I don't have type 2 diabetes or type 1. I don't have anything. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything. And it's like, um, plus I'm happy in my diet. I'm thrilled about my diet. I love to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
Yeah.
one of the things that I realized early on, that I got to figure this thing out, and it has to be something that's fun.
Mm.
And man, um, uh, people have said they've kind of spoken about me in a derogatory sort of a way by saying you are weird.
Mm.
You are weird, and I guess I really was weird because I was trying to figure it out. And the only way you can figure these things out is trial and error, trial and
Yeah.
error, trial and error. I tried this, that didn't work. I tried
Mm-hmm.
this, that didn't work. Um, and so anyway, that's been my goal or my quest. I've
Mm-hmm.
been on this quest to figure all this out, Riley.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to be able to talk with you. Today's the 22nd of July,
Mm-hmm.
2021.
Yeah.
And I can talk with you so confidently that I have answers that are fun answers,
Yeah.
that are doable answers.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it really is. And I know, and this isn't something you came up overnight. I haven't seen the whole process, I don't think, but I've seen kind of variations of your diet where, one that comes to mind is you used to eat a lot of broccoli, like a ton of broccoli, and like there's just all these different ones, and now you've stuck with this one for the longest time, and if you've seen the benefits, so it's cool to see that you've nailed something down that works, pretty perfect in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it addresses a biggie, and the biggie is that a person needs to enjoy it.
Mm,
Need to
yeah.
enjoy it,
Mm,
and then what happens if in enjoying it, then it enables me to it's not a preoccupation for me. It's like, hey, I know I've got this thing, it's all figured out. um, I know that I'm going to enjoy this thing, and then I can go off and find other fun things in my life. And I think for a lot of people, because they are medicating with food, food is the main thrust of everything in their life. It really
mm,
is. It's like they don't realize it maybe, but it's all about food, and it's always about the taste, and it's always about wanting to find this amazing thing, this amazing taste. And then there's tons of regret. Gosh, I
yeah.
did all of this, I ate all of that, and now I've got to process this in my body, and I feel like crap, and I don't sleep very well at night, and I wake up and I'm tired. And it's just a cycle keeps repeating over and over and over again. And they
Mm,
look at themselves in the mirror, and they're unhappy with what they see,
mm,
and they want to, and they're saying, by golly, today I'm going to make a change, today I'm going to do this thing. And their life is this horrible nightmare repeating day after year after year after year. And I just and I realize all of that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, so having something that really works with that, a real life thing, with what people are confronted with living in this time, is really I'm thrilled to be able to share that. And so anyway, um, that's, uh, uh, I would like this to be maybe a legacy for me, this
Mm-hmm.
guy, this weird guy that figured out something. And if just one person gets this and applies this and benefits from it, gosh, I'll just be so happy about that. I'll just be
Yeah.
so um, gratified that I was able to pass this along. And I really don't want any credit for anything. I really don't, because um, like I've told you and others, I don't really feel like I have an original thought in my head. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just standing on the shoulders of others, and I've gleaned information from here and there and here
Mm-hmm.
and there, and I'm always seeking information. I love information. And I think that's a big part of the thing with anything solving the problem is getting enough information about it, and then benefiting from that information. It's about, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just
Yeah.
fortunately happen to be living in an age where, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
do we have information? It's like,
Yeah.
so anyway, so however you want me to proceed, I'd like to cut right to the chase, I think.
Mm-hmm. Get into
And
your process.
yeah, and talk about the process,
Okay. Yeah. Let me.
and what I do. And and part of the thing with nutrition is, or a big part of it is, and in maintaining good health, uh, it's an equation.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that in order to maintain uh, a weight, um, it's totally about the calories that we consume and the
Mm-hmm.
calories that we burn up on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis. That's
Yeah.
all it is. It's just a simple equation.
Mm-hmm.
And um, and it's really important uh, to understand how many calories we're consuming, to where we get a handle on that. And you don't have to make a big uh, deal out of it. But I think initially each person needs to understand the nature of it. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, um, I think the average person, you could Google this, but I think the average person burns something like 1,600, 1,800 calories a day or something like that. And so, in order
Yeah.
to meet, and I think it's something like that.
And
Have
that
you?
even seems slightly low because I think I've taken like these Whoop things where it like tracks your calories and on average, and I think on average I burn like I think it was like 2,500 or something like that. And so I don't know, maybe that was
So maybe that's maybe because you're 24 years old, you're
mm,
pretty busy, you're doing a lot of different things, so your calorie burning thing is like you said,
mm-hmm.
2,400 maybe.
Right.
Okay, so let's say it is 2,400. Um, and at that point, then in order for you to lose weight, if you just consume 2,300 calories a day,
Exactly.
okay, then you're going to lose weight. That's a
Yeah.
given. That's
Mm-hmm.
and it's just that simple. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so and so the idea being is that you want to find 2,300 calories, and the kind of food that contributes to that are things that you really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Things to where uh, a big one is you want to feel full. You don't
Yeah,
want to feel hungry.
for sure.
One of the things where I think that really gets a person is where they're eating and they're hungry all the time. They're hungry, and so
Yeah.
and they're snacking because
Mm-hmm.
they're hungry and they're snacking, and snacking is fun. And I just saw this. I just saw this thing where um, uh, one of the comedians, um, gosh, what is his name? I'm trying to remember his name.
Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, that's my
Mm.
favorite show, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
Comedians in
Yeah.
Cars. And this was, oh gosh, what is his name? I can't. I guess it doesn't really matter, but anyway, it's a fella who does. His name is an abbreviation. His name
Mm.
is an abbreviation. Doggone, I can't think of it right up.
Mm.
That's one of the problems of being 77 years old.
Just so much information.
Yeah, right. I can't always. Well, I've got a lot of information now.
Yeah.
PK something. What is his name? What is his name? The episode he does is he does the one where he just got this wonderful yacht, and
Mm.
um, um, uh, gosh, oh well. Anyway, he was talking about his favorite thing is he loves to go to IMAX, and he
Mm.
loves to go to IMAX stoned. And when he goes to IMAX stoned, he has this jacket, and it's filled with all of his goodies. You know, he's
Candy and
got an
stuff.
ice cream bar over here, and he's got candy over here, and he's got the thing figured out to where he always goes by Uber because he's stoned, and if people recognize him as a famous person, he doesn't want to have to talk with them if he's stoned, and so
Mm.
he's got this whole thing figured out. And and I was thinking, wow, um, what an example of how not to be. You know, it's like this thing, and then when he's going to put all this crap in his body, right? And
Mm.
then and his body's going to have to go, really? I'm going to have
Yeah.
to process all this stuff, and
Yeah.
he's gonna sober up and have to contend with all of that. And I was
Mm.
thinking, gee whiz, that's really going off the charts as far as, gosh, I wish I could think of his name, but anyway, doesn't matter.
But so you're not, just to be clear, so I don't think you're necessarily against the weed, more of just going to the movie theater and just gobbling down a bunch of crap that's bad for you.
No, I'm not against weed. I
Mm.
think I think uh, I think I'm not against anything in moderation. I'm really
Right.
not.
Exactly.
The whole, and that's the key is is to manage it, is to manage everything in life. I think
Exactly.
this is such an exciting life, is to just, as you know, the way I feel. I think that each and every one of us ought to be doing the things that we really want to do,
Yeah.
and be excited about that. And and so I think this is, I think this is incredible. This life that we're given in this
Mm.
world that we're living, with all the variety and all the different choices the person can make,
Yeah,
and
really.
it's endless. And I encourage folks to just explore and try all these different things.
Mm.
And, but I think that it begins with being healthy. A
Mm.
person has to be healthy in order to be able to maximize this experience. And
Mm.
so, and being healthy has to do with our nutrition and our and the way we manage our physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Not just nutrition, but exercise too, and the thoughts that we think. We want to we want to be a happy person, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what we're always in the quest of, wanting to be a happy person. and
Mm-hmm.
and I think that nutrition and exercise and all that contributes greatly toward all of that.
Oh yeah,
So don't
definitely.
you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
and so I spent years in the advertising industry, and specifically infomercials. The late night TV things that come on cable, and they're selling whatever they're selling, and I was involved with that, and I know a lot about advertising, and I realized that uh, we're victimized
Mm.
by these people wanting to promote whatever it is they're promoting. And for the most part, the good food that we need to eat uh, is never advertised. No one's advertising apples. They're not
Mm.
advertising nuts. They're not advertising vegetables. They're not advertising any of
That's
that
true.
stuff. They're advertising all the stuff really that we shouldn't be eating.
Yeah,
And
that's so
so, and
true.
yeah,
That is very true.
and so advertising really works.
Mm-hmm.
Advertising is extremely effective.
Oh yeah.
And uh, and so I think that's something the person needs to simply be wary of.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do I really want to? A lot of folks aren't aware of the fact, for instance, that advertising works even if you hit the mute button.
Right. If you just see it
If you just
without
see,
hearing it, and
yeah,
vice versa.
yeah. If you just and or if you hear it and don't see it, whatever.
Mm,
And
right.
so we're so susceptible to those messages, and we respond really favorably to those messages. Otherwise, these major huge corporations wouldn't just succeed,
Mm-hmm.
they're just flourishing, they're just
Yeah.
loving it, and the fact that that's legal for them to be able to brainwash us to that
Yeah.
extent. It's really legal for them to do that. And uh, but anyway, so if it is, then we just need to be aware of it, and
Mm-hmm.
navigating that, and being careful what we expose ourselves to.
Mm-hmm.
I because I know all about advertising real clearly, and a lot of people, like for instance, aren't aware that a 15-second spot, a 15-second spot, let's say during the Super Bowl, just to produce that 15-second spot can cost millions of dollars. And a person
Mm-hmm.
can say, how can a 15-second message cost millions of dollars? It does,
Mm-hmm.
because they know they have all these test audiences. They advertise that thing, or they test that in front of people, and
Mm-hmm.
they know the efficacy. They know just exactly how effective that is. And then they spend the major millions of dollars to actually air it.
Yeah.
So there's
Right.
two factors, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's so effective.
Yeah.
So I just don't watch advertising at all because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I need to be the gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
My logical brain needs to call all the shots in my life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
allowing myself to just be affected by that, and then kind of running amok, whatever my body's, yeah, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And none of those things contribute to our happiness, really, long-term
Mm-hmm.
well-being. They all undermine our happiness. Isn't that funny how all of this comes right back to the same thing all the time? So anyway,
Yeah. Just
um,
wanting to be happy in the end.
yep. So here's the deal. I think that um, uh, okay, let's see. Let me. There's how am I going to start with this thing? Maybe you'll have to edit part of this out, I suppose,
Mm.
because I'm feeling my way along with this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, it's not scripted.
Yeah, it's not scripted at all.
Just let me know when you want me to pull up the video of your process, if that would help, or
Okay. Well, okay. Maybe it'd be best if I just gave you my day.
okay.
All right. So um, I start my day, of course, with coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and coffee for me is an important part of my life. It really is. I just saw recently um, uh, a Joe Rogan uh, podcast where he was interviewing this fellow by the name of Michael Pollan, Pollan,
Mm-hmm.
and Michael Pollan is has written many articles about uh, food and
Mm-hmm.
drugs and all kinds of really interesting things. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things he talked about with coffee is that uh, coffee was pretty much introduced to the Western world around 1600. And prior to coffee and tea, people were drunk all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And they would feed liquor to their kids um, uh, because the water uh, was contaminated,
Uh,
and so alcohol would purify the water. And so
wow.
coffee, of course, is a drug, but coffee changed the whole world. At that point, it enabled people to
Mm-hmm.
focus, because prior to coffee, first of all, people couldn't. Uh, when the sun went down, they had to go to bed. They couldn't stay up, and
Mm-hmm.
and so what coffee did is it enabled people to function after dark, and that worked out really well about that time because. Well, let's see, the Industrial Revolution didn't start until the 1800s, and so a person could at that point uh, that caused that enabled capitalism, and it changed our whole world. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, coffee is really, really important because it enables me to start my day with clarity and with focus. And I manage that carefully, because if a person does too much of coffee, then they don't sleep really well at night.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out how to do that, and coffee is a part of the nutrition, I think. A big part of the nutrition is to be able to think clearly and to be able to manage it. And the person
Mm-hmm.
might say, well, how do you manage your coffee? Well, I weigh it. I weigh exactly how many coffee grounds go into my coffee machine,
Mm-hmm.
and how much water. So I got that ratio, and
Mm-hmm.
I very carefully do that every day so I don't overdo it. And that's a big part of the thing, is just making choices where you're in a position of control
Mm-hmm.
and exercising that control all the time. And I don't think there's anything that contributes to our self-confidence than for us to manage our lives. I
Mm,
think
yeah.
I think it's really essential that we're in control. And I think a lot of people don't feel very well in control.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they have the intentions to be in control, but at the end of the day, they're saying, "Gosh, I'm so disappointed in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do this thing. I want to do this thing. Why didn't I do this thing? It means a lot for me to do this thing. I didn't do it."
Mm-hmm.
And so and failing day after day after day after day, I think it breaks a person down.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't, like I say, because of the advertising industry and the examples that are set for us, um, are horrible examples. And so we don't have uh, a good guidance in the world. The world is saying, hey, let's just party for today. Let's just do this thing. We'll all get together. We'll have a celebration. It's somebody's birthday party. It's a time for us to get together. Let's have this thing. And all of it, none of it is really helping us long term. It's
Mm-hmm.
always a short-term fix,
Yeah,
don't you think?
exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
short-term fix. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're continually dealing with the social aspects, and we all want to be social. No one wants to uh, uh, be the stick in the mud,
Mm-hmm.
the person that doesn't go along. No one wants to be this unfun, serious person that's not participating in this
Yeah.
social event, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, we want to
exactly.
say, yeah, you're going along with us. And so we're all going along down the same darn path,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
almost everybody, Riley, has what I mentioned I don't have. Almost everybody has type 2 diabetes, or a big percentage
Mm-hmm.
have high blood pressure, have cholesterol problems, have weight problems, have energy problems, have depression,
Taking some
have
sort of
all, I mean,
medication.
we just do as a society.
Yeah.
So, um, and so, uh, and they say that I don't want to belabor all of this, but they say that a problem well defined is a problem at least half solved. And so
Mm.
we've got to define
Mhm.
this beast that's consuming everybody. And
Mhm.
the beast, of course, is uh, this package of our helplessness in
Mhm.
the face of nutrition. And
Mhm.
gosh, there's so much information out there, uh,
Yeah.
and that contributes to which one do I choose? Do I do this one where I eat uh, the paleo, or do I eat the one where eat the one where it's all about protein or no fats
Mhm.
or what choices do I make?
Yeah.
And I've been struggling with that.
Mhm.
What do you what are the kinds of things that that you've considered as you're trying to because I've heard you say I really want to figure this thing out. What
Yeah.
what kinds of information have you found that
Well, I mean, I've bought a program, like of this guy on YouTube, this fitness guy on YouTube that I follow. He does a whole nutrition like it's called the Warrior Shredding Program from Kino Body, and it's following this really specific, this amount of carbs, this amount of blah blah blah, and it's hard to follow. And then I've seen all these YouTube stuff, and finally, actually about I don't know, a few weeks ago to a month, I just like, where do I usually find all the answers? Either YouTube or Google. And I've been looking on YouTube and it just seems so complicated. So I literally just looked up on Google. I looked up something like how do you get ripped? And then it just gave you like literally five of the best things you can possibly do. Like a slight calorie deficit, workout, blah blah blah, just basically, you can look it up if you're listening and care, but it literally breaks it down into the most simplest way and doesn't overcomplicate it. That I feel like all these people are so. It's basically breaking it down into the process that you have, just eating a good amount of healthy stuff, and then having the rest. Just you can treat yourself every once in a while or whatever, but that's what I did recently, and it's it really is pretty interesting how easy it just lays it out, because everybody overcomplicates it, saying you need, this amount of stuff, and it's like you're always having to worry and like count calories and all that. I don't know, it's too much, and for me at least, and but the way you have it, and I know we're going to get into it at some point. We actually have a video of it. Is I mean, I think it's pretty perfect because it's routine. You don't have to think about it every day. There's no meal planning. I guess it kind of maybe is in that category, but meal planning is in different things. It's just it covers basically your day, and then the rest of it, if something comes along that you want to eat, you can eat it, no worries, basically, within reason, and we'll get into it, but your way makes it to where you don't want to overindulge into some crazy thing.
hmm Yeah, I'm a like I said, when I was in high school, I was just eating uh, just chocolate chip ice cream and barbecue potato chips, and so I love those tastes,
Hmm.
and like everybody does, I
Yeah.
mean, those how can you not? How can
Yeah.
you not love those amazing concoctions
Yeah.
that are packaged so conveniently for
Yeah.
us? And they're just like, hey, yeah, there's a little bag of it right there, or there's a
Hmm.
little box of it, or there's a little
Yeah.
whatever the heck.
Ready
And
to eat too. There's
so
no
convenient,
preparation.
so convenient,
You
man.
open the bag and it's ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And see, that's a big part of the thing is um, our diet, the way the average person's diet is they're eating foods that what I would call are ultra ultra digestible.
Mm.
What I mean by that is that when they eat something that says it's 600 calories on the package,
Mm.
let's say it's um, uh, a hostess little cake thing or whatever,
Yeah.
um, uh, that 600 calories on the package is so digestible that I believe that every calorie is digested. I think every
Mm.
calorie just goes zip, and you're absorbing every cotton picking calorie,
Yeah.
and the consequence thereof, as you've just consumed this thing, and now it's going to be
Mm.
totally digested,
Mm.
and your body's going to totally convert it to probably fat
Yeah.
because that's what the body does. Our bodies are wonderful that way. This ability to put on fat is wonderful. It's incredible.
Mm.
It's a beautiful thing
Mm.
because it's designed to sustain us during lean times.
Yeah.
We're survival things. That's what
Mm.
we do. We survive, and our
Yeah.
bodies are a product of, of all those years, millions of years of evolution to where, man, we know how to survive. Do we ever? And
Mm.
now food is so cheap. Food is so cheap. It's like, gee whiz, if we were to hit some sort of a catastrophe that affected the entire planet, all we'd need is bags of Doritos.
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
And just a few bags of Doritos, you survive, man. You're gonna
Mm.
totally survive. A lot of people don't realize that.
Mm.
And it's like, wow. I mean,
Mm.
just doesn't take much to just survive.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be very healthy, but you'd certainly be
Mm.
surviving, and your body
Yeah.
would do just fine. All you have to do is distribute bags of chips throughout the
Yeah.
world, which they make for practically nothing. I mean,
Mm.
gosh, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's just
anyway,
corn, and corn's the easiest thing to grow, and
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, wow. So
Mm.
anyway, so it has to do with the fact that food is ultra digestible. And the problem with food that's ultra digestible is it doesn't fill up a person. And so you eat like a bag of chips that are just very concentrated calories.
Mm.
And you look at a bag of chips, how many calories are in that bag? Let's see if it's and this is part of the education process. A person owes it to themselves to understand food and how many calories are they're consuming. And so just need to understand that. And once you understand it and you go through the process a few times, you'll have it down. You don't
Mm.
have to obsess about it. You just understand it. You just understand it. And you understand that it's an equation. Is that in your case, we talked about 2,400 calories a day. Okay. So it's just a matter at that point of consuming, if you want to maintain that weight that wherever you are, to consume 2,400 calories a day. You're burning 2,400 calories a day. That's the equation. You do that, you'll maintain wherever you are right there. If you want
Mm.
to lose weight, you consume 2,300 calories a day. The key thing here is for you to feel satisfied.
Mm.
You've got to feel, the word is sated. You need to,
Mm.
SATED. You need to feel satisfied. You need to feel full. You need to feel where your stomach isn't going, "Rah, rah, I want to eat more stuff." And that's
Yeah.
what causes the thing, is a person, I'm hungry, darn it. I'm
Mm.
hungry. I've got to eat something here. And
Mm.
why are you hungry? We're hungry because we've just eaten something that's so concentrated, like chips or whatever the
Mm.
heck it is. They don't fill us up.
Right.
They don't fill us up.
Mm.
And so if you're hungry, you want to eat. And so that was one of the first things that I discovered in this journey that I've been on to figure out how to do, is I needed to eat something that
Mm.
filled me up nicely to where okay, now I'm happy.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
and there's that beautiful full feeling
Mhm.
is what we're really looking for.
Mhm.
And so I remember many years ago they were talking about maybe we're a vegetarian
Mm.
or we're a carnivore, or we're an omnivore. Have you ever heard of that term, an omnivore?
Is that like both?
That's both, yeah, an
Mm.
omnivore. Some people say that as humans, that's what we are. We're an omnivore.
Mm.
An omnivore meaning that we can work with meat nicely. We can work with fruit and vegetables nicely. Because
Mm.
if you're a fruit and vegetable, then you would be a herbivore.
Mm.
You're only meat, like the cats uh, or certain animals are just carnivores.
Mm-hmm.
They only eat meat. And then if you do both, like someone said, that's humans, we're an omnivore. But then I learned something that says that maybe we're not an omnivore.
Mm.
Maybe we're what's known as a frugivore. Have you ever heard of that term, a
Mm-mm.
frugivore?
No.
A frugivore, some people think that we might be the archetype of the frugivore, and the archetype meaning that we are the species on this planet that uh, uh, sets the standard for being a frugivore.
Hmm.
And a frugivore is a fruit and nut eating species, fruit and
Hmm.
nuts. And monkeys are frugivores, and occasionally they'll have meat, maybe once a month or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll have insects or whatever they'll have.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Uh, um, but anyway, so I learned this thing of us being a frugivore, and they said one of the indications that helps a person understand where we fall in that, whether we're a carnivore or an herbivore or an omnivore or a frugivore,
Mm-hmm.
is what is appealing to us. What is appealing to us in its natural state? And um, and like when I look at apples and bananas and peaches, and I go to the vegetable aisle in the grocery store with all those colors, the
Mm-hmm.
greens and the oranges and the reds,
Mm-hmm.
all delightful to me. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, wow. And none of it's packaged. It's just
Right.
there in its natural state. And
Mm-hmm.
it's calling out to me, here I am. Nobody's advertising it, Riley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nobody's
seriously.
advertising any of that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It doesn't need advertising. Well, first of all, if you
Mm.
did advertise, who would make money on it?
Yeah, yeah, right.
You can grow it in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
You don't grow Doritos in your backyard.
Yeah.
You don't grow Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
These are concoctions that have to be manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, uh, meat, on the other hand, when and that's what they talked about in this frugivore thing, is that if you look at meat, cooked meat, cooked meat looks like fecal matter.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It doesn't look appealing. So in order to make meat appealing, we've got to doctor it up with spices,
Mm.
and those are vegetable spices, a lot of them, or sugars. We'll put all these different sugars are a byproduct of a vegetable, and so
Mm.
in order to make meat really appealing, we've got to fiddle with it, you know.
Mm.
And but for the most part, we don't like raw meat.
Mm.
Cats look at raw meat, and they really get excited about raw meat.
Mm.
They look at raw meat and it's like, whoa, look at that, look at that, look at that uh, cow or horse or some prey out there, and they start licking their chops. And it's
Yeah.
like, yum ola, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yummy. And
Right.
we don't see that. We just don't. I mean,
Mm.
we the hunters see that as a survival thing, but I don't think they'd look at a deer and start salivating.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I don't think we're carnivores. I don't. Because if we were, we'd look at all that and see it in its natural state. And I think, and so understanding what really is naturally appealing to us might be a really good indication of the direction that we should be moving in our diet.
Mm.
And uh, and so that was something that influenced me greatly as I was trying to figure all this out. And so, uh, uh, and so and then coming back to this business of foods that are ultra digestible,
Mm.
I didn't. I realized that that could be really treacherous. That if I was only eating foods that were ultra digestible, I wasn't going to get this sated, full feeling. And
Mm.
so these are the issues that needed to be addressed. And then I wanted to make choices that would contribute to my overall wellness, to where that I would feel good, that I would sleep well,
Mm.
I would be excited, I would have lots of energy, that I could look at myself in the mirror and saying, "Dang, you look pretty good for a 77-year-old."
Mm.
And uh, and I remember I sing and dance for folks in care facilities, and I remember um, I was singing and dancing at this one place, and it was kind of warm, and I took off my coat and I was just wearing a t-shirt, and the young caregiving girls there said, "Damn, you're ripped."
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, when they said that, I'm an old 77-year-old guy. I felt kind of nice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it did. It said, wow, when they said that, I realized I think guys want to look like that. That's a
Mm.
natural thing. We want to be
Mm.
attractive to the female species in our life, the female
Mm.
sex. We like that. Sex is a big part of our thing, even if
Mm.
you're 77 years old.
Yeah.
So it's it's nice for me to feel like I'm doing the good stuff, to
Mm.
where I'm going in a direction that nurtures me, not just physically but emotionally. That's
Mm.
a big thing. I think if a person manages their life uh, to where they're making good choices to where they're emotionally healthy, that uh, that's going to contribute to them making good choices. And if they aren't emotionally healthy, then they're going to need to medicate on stuff.
Mm.
And I think uh, so many of these things all tie together. It's it's tricky to just pull out one aspect of our lives and say, "I'm going to address this," because we're a package. We're a
Mm.
package of all sorts of issues. And the main issue, I think, is that, are we leading a life that is a wholesome life? And by a wholesome life, I mean a life that to where we don't uh, uh, to where we're not happy. You know, we're not happy. We're not excited about what we're doing in our life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are very unhappy in the life that they find themselves living. You know, and the jobs that they have, and the day-to-day routine of their life. It's not a fun and exciting life.
Yeah.
And I think if a person doesn't recognize that and realize that they are unhappy, they're going to need to medicate.
Mm. Yeah.
And so all of this conversation that we're going to talk about here shortly is going to be a waste of time, really. If a person is leading a crummy life to where they aren't happy, they're going to need, they owe it. They're saying, well, gosh darn it, I'm just not happy and all these things. At least I'm going to be able to have a Big Mac.
All right.
At
Yeah.
least I'm going to be able to have this big baby back ribs, or whatever the heck it is. I'm gonna live for the day, damn it, because tomorrow I've got to go back to this crummy life again.
Mm.
And if we don't get honest about it and realize that uh, emotionally they're troubled, emotionally they're struggling, emotionally they're dealing with things that uh, they don't see their way out of, and so by gosh, they're going to medicate, and that's all it is. I think is having to medicate, because I can give you the answers, but see what I've done. I have I have done two things. I guess you could say a two-prong approach. On the one hand, I'm looking for things that enable me to have a healthy lifestyle nutrition wise,
Mm-hmm.
but I've also been extremely sensitive and aware uh, of crafting a life for me that is fun and exciting,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm able to do the things that I want to do. And so I don't think you can just pick out one part of this and then this is going to be the solution to your problem as far
Right.
as being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think? Don't you
No,
think a
yeah,
person
yeah.
emotionally needs to manage their emotional well-being? And if they aren't, then that's going to be a real pitfall.
Yeah,
That's going to be
exactly.
that's going to be a stumbling block to where they're not going to be able to get past that,
Yeah,
because continually they're going to feel the need to medicate,
yeah.
either through food or drugs or sex or some sensational thing
Mm-hmm.
that's going to give them this great sensation of well of a quick fix, to
Mm-hmm.
where they're saying, okay, now I'm living. Now I'm
Yeah.
living. Let's get drunk. Let's have some booze.
Yeah.
Like I remember we went out to visit some relatives. They would drink every night,
No.
every night. And I thought, and I don't think they realized that. I
Mm.
mean, maybe they do realize that. Maybe that's just a given. That's
Mm-hmm.
a given in their life that they have to drink every night. And then I don't know if they were particularly alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were. I think if a person drinks every night, there's some kind of a holic,
Yeah.
you know, and they're medicating because of a thing that's just not. Uh, and so it's hard to just pick out one aspect of this and make this your solution.
Mm-hmm.
If Dr. Oz comes out, and he always has this wonderful show, Dr. Oz is always
Mm-hmm.
talking about some particular guy, featuring some particular guy or gal on his show that has some sort of a nutritional answer. And let's talk about this one now. And I'm excited, or Oprah. She'll have someone on there, and I'm real excited about this one. But if it doesn't take in the whole package of being a human being,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
At least a person needs to be aware of the problem. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I think a problem well defined is a problem at least half solved.
Yeah, I like that.
And so, so the answers that I'll talk about what I do are dependent on me also making good choices in the other parts of my life.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think, and I've thought about this. I want to be able to help folks, and I want them to be able to, to really make a change. And when you see how many people do you know, and this is a way to think about it. How many people do you know that you've ever seen them really change?
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. Not a whole lot, it seems.
In 5 years, they're probably going to be exactly the same. And
Mm-hmm.
they're and what's so interesting, Riley, is they'll say, I'm going to make a change. This is January. I'm going to make a New Year's resolution.
Mm.
And it's a joke anymore. It's a joke,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what a waste of time. What
Mm-hmm.
a waste of fucking time
Mm-hmm.
is to put this burden on a person to say, you really need to do this thing. And hardly anybody does it.
Right.
Wouldn't they be better off to just say, screw it? I'm just going to be who I am and do who I am. And that's just the way that goes.
Mm. Yeah.
And then accept that.
Yeah.
That'd probably be healthier,
Yeah, for sure.
rather than to continually put yourself on the spot and say,
Mm-hmm.
you miserable failure, you aren't. And it's like, gosh,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to follow through, if they do follow through, that's great. But like you're saying, most just go in this cycle.
I hardly know anybody that's ever changed in
Yeah.
all my life. I see them, if I've seen them 30 years ago, they're the same today or
Mm,
worse.
wow.
Or worse. I
Mm,
rarely see anybody, decide to become a butterfly,
mm,
so to speak, is
mm, right.
make a metamorphosis to where
Mm,
they just totally reinvent themselves.
mm,
How often does that happen?
yeah, you're right.
With me, it happened. With
Mm,
me, it happened, which really makes it the term I'm an outlier,
mm,
outlier.
mm,
Uh, and I love being an outlier because outliers are pretty cool people.
mm. Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
Mr. Tesla, he
Yeah.
is totally an outlier.
Mm,
Or Bill Gates or any of these guys, they're all the people who we really admire in Hollywood, or any of the people that are just the scientists or whoever they are. We
mm,
admire all those folks. It's like, wow. And we
mm,
think, gee, I wish I could be that. I wish
mm.
I could play the piano like that. Or I wish.
Yeah.
And what's so amazing about us, Riley, is we all have that ability.
Yeah.
We can reinvent ourselves right this red hot minute
Yeah.
to anything we want to be
Right.
if we make that choice. But I think in order to do that, we need to take into consideration the whole package, the whole
Yeah,
package,
for
our whole
sure.
lives, and
Mm,
look at each aspect of it. And what it boils down, am I making the good choices in each and every aspect of my life?
mm,
And if we aren't, then I think we're going to be uh, uh, we're going to fall short of the change,
mm,
because it all has to work together. And I've heard very few people talk about this part of it. They'll just dissect it, so to speak, and they're
mm,
just going to we're only going to talk about this aspect. But unless they talk about the overall uh, wholesomeness of the lifestyle that they're living, then the problems are going to keep popping up.
mm,
And I have to be honest and say, the reason that I'm as healthy as I am is because I've taken I'm very aware of everything in my life. The time that you and I've spent together over the last 24 years
mm.
have been fun.
Oh yeah.
And it's been fun because uh, I decided that I want to make good choices in my life, and the best choices that I can possibly make in every aspect of my life.
Mm,
If it's something that didn't thrill, excite, and delight me, I said no.
right.
I want to do things that thrill, excite, and delight me always. If
Mm,
I can choose that, why not?
yeah.
If it's simply deciding that I want to do things that are fun and thrill and excite and delight me, yeah, that's going to
Yeah.
be the criteria that I use for each and everything in my life.
Right.
And it's and this business of sacrifice, nobody benefits from sacrifice.
Mm,
Your friends don't. Who wants to be around someone who's leading that sort of a life? They're not
right.
happy.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, we want to be around people that are excited to be here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's no reason, with all the variety in our world, that each person hasn't found something that's fun and exciting for them. And if
Mm,
they have, then all of those addictions and all of those need to medicate and all of that falls away. So I think in order for this whole nutrition thing to really have any lasting possibility,
mm,
is for all of that to be considered.
yeah, for
You
sure.
can't dissect it.
Mm,
You can dissect it, but unless you take into consideration uh, what's your Monday through Friday like? Is that working for you? Is
right.
that something that you're excited about? And if it isn't, wouldn't it be fun to at least get started on a plan
Mm.
where you start to move in that direction?
Yeah.
Is it possible that everybody could do that? Of course.
Yeah, I mean, seems like it.
I mean, we have that ability to say no.
Mm.
Like you and I were talking about that the other day, is the two best parts of any job. Remember what the two best parts of any job, in my opinion, is?
Mm. Starting and stopping.
Yeah. And stopping because you're exercising your freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom to say, it's like, I'll give you, for instance, when I go singing, I only sing for an hour, and
Mm.
I go singing in care facilities, right? And so I remember I was singing up in Bellingham, and uh, and I got in my car, and I got all my stuff together, my speaker and all that stuff,
Mm.
all that, and I got up there and I set it all up, and I sang for an hour, and after an hour, I was done.
Mm.
I was done. I mean, I was
Mm.
done, emotionally done. I didn't want to do
Mm.
it anymore.
Yeah.
And I left those people, and they were, how many hours they were probably going to be up there? All these
Mm.
people that were working in the care facility?
Mm.
What, probably eight?
Yeah, yeah.
Eight.
Yeah.
After an hour, I was done. I wanted to be done.
Right.
I had to go up there and drive up there and be there for eight. I could maybe do that for a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After a week, I would be so done.
Mm-hmm.
I would be so done. Those people might be there for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens when a person does all that, and they give up their freedom, because they're actually volunteering to give up their freedom, because
Mm.
there's no prisoners in our world. I mean, there are. I guess there's slavery in some parts of the world, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about slavery here. We're talking about uh, voluntary slavery.
Yeah.
And why? Because there's other factors involved. Well, I owe this money and I bought this thing. It's like I was singing at one of the places I was talking to, and this gal was having a problem with her transportation. Her car died, right?
Mm.
Her car died, and and I asked her. I said, "Did you figure out your car problem?" "No, haven't figured it out yet." She said, "But I'm going to get a new car because I deserve it. I
Mm.
deserve it. At the very least, I deserve it." And I said, "If you get to that point where you're on the fence, please call me and I'll talk you down, because
Mm.
when you start to think like that and talk like that, you're going to give up your freedom. You're going
Mm.
to owe the man, and then you're not going to be able to tell the man to kiss your ass.
Yeah.
I have to show up hour after hour, day after day, month after year,
Mm-hmm.
because and the reason you got the car is you're medicating.
Yeah.
Buying a brand new car is a medication. The time to
Yeah.
buy the car is when you can do it in such a fashion that you don't give up your freedom.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Maybe you save up for it, or you
Mm-hmm.
get a better deal on it, or you do like this thing with Jack's, is he got a car that for all practical purposes looks like a brand new car for $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of these things come together, and we're talking about nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't pick out just nutrition. Nutrition, I could show you how to eat right. I could show you how to do the things. But in
Mm-hmm.
order for you to do that, you're going to have to want to do that. In
Yeah.
order for you to want to do that, you have to be in a position where you're not having to medicate.
Exactly.
If you're
That's
going
what
to
it
have
all comes
to
back
medicate,
to.
you're going to have to medicate. You're going to look at me and shake your head and say, "You're wasting your time here, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You are wasting my time here.
Right. Yeah.
I need to be happy right now because I'm mostly not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly not." Do you think what we're talking about here is helpful?
I sure do. It's the hard truth. I think that people are gonna have to really, you know, maybe have there's something that they've been suppressing, that maybe I'm not happy in my life, and maybe it's because of this or this or this. And like you said, a problem, uh, what was the saying you said about half solved?
A problem, a problem, a problem well defined
Mm,
is a problem half solved.
yeah.
You
So, I
gotta you
mean,
gotta describe the problem.
yeah,
What is the problem?
you need to own the
Problem in the
problem as well.
nutrition case is a bunch of unhappy people,
Yeah,
basically saying
yeah.
that, my God, at least I'm going to be happy now. And we're getting ready to have a party here. And are the
Mm-hmm.
burgers done yet?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I mean, and let's have cake and ice
yeah.
cream. Did you get that? Did you get that? That Dairy Queen one? You know, the one that's got the blizzard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah, and it's not like you're saying that will never happen. It's just anything in excess is bad. So it's like you just take it on very occasionally, you know? Like drinking alcohol isn't inherently bad. Eating, some bad food isn't inherently bad. But if you're doing it for the reason of medication, or if you're doing it every single night, or, that's where it becomes the problem that we're talking about. Right.
And if you have to medicate, you're going to medicate every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if you're medicating every day with food, then it's a losing battle
Hmm.
because you got to medicate.
Yeah.
You got, I mean, you have to medicate if you're leading a life where you have to medicate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm laughing, but there's nothing funny about this. It's a
Hmm.
heartbreaker. It's a
Yeah.
heartbreaker.
Yeah.
You know, I love people. I love people,
Hmm.
and I don't love them conditionally. If I see someone that's really angry,
Hmm.
I see a person who's unfair, if I see a person who's acting out uh, in a mean way, hurting other people, whatever,
Hmm.
I love them all, and I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
And the Native Americans, of which you are part,
Hmm.
the Native Americans have this wonderful, they have a lot of wonderful sayings, but one of their sayings is, you never judge another brave until you walk a mile in their moccasins. And if you see a person who's acting out and they're unsavory, they're unpleasant,
Hmm.
uh, they're a pain in the ass, it's because something is going on in their life, right?
Yeah.
And so I love all people. And there's nothing that would thrill and excite and delight me more. I love projects. For me, there's nothing better than a project.
Mm.
I will never forget when I was a little boy. My favorite age was being 10 years old. 10
Mm.
years old was my very favorite time in life.
Mm.
You know, I hadn't discovered girls yet.
Mm.
And so I didn't have the testosterone stuff,
Mm.
which complicates a fellow's life hugely.
Yeah.
You know, all those hormones are just a huge distraction. Because I loved prior to that, getting on my bicycle. Did you ever see the movie with Tom Hanks, Big?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Big?
like that movie.
Okay. And that was one that demonstrated and illustrated what I'm saying
Mm.
better than anything.
Right.
When they were on their little bicycles and riding around, man, that's what I did when I was 10 years old. And
Mm.
I pack a lunch with my buddies and we get on our bicycles and we head off, you know.
Mm.
I grew up here in the Northwest, and we'd be out on those country roads for the bicycles just heading way off into the mountains, you know, and uh, and having the adventure, and never knew what kind of an adventure you're going to have that day, and
Right.
exploring and going through the woods and seeing the animals and the streams. And we live in heaven up here, right?
Oh yeah.
We
Oh
live in
yeah.
heaven up here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that thing grandma just showed me the t-shirt of your dad's Trek for Treasure, the latest one, you know, with the
Mm-hmm.
jewel in the front.
Yeah.
And it's got all a record of all the other Trek for Treasures, 10 years, you know, of him
Yeah.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the most popular event in this country because we live in heaven with all the adventures a person can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love the projects, though. I'll never forget. I think I was about 5 years old, 6 years old. and my mom and dad took me to this uh, place, and what it was a great big room, like maybe the size of a gymnasium, like a high school gymnasium,
Mm.
and only it was a hobby room, and it had all these like picnic tables set up in the room, and everybody was working on some sort of a craft.
Mm.
One guy was making an airplane, one guy was making this, a lady was making that, whatever. And you
Mm.
could just walk through the thing and see all these people with all their different things. And I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I remember
Mm.
looking and I said, oh my gosh, look at all these cool things to do.
Mm.
That's what I thought, you know. And at the very end of the room, there was like a hobby shop down there where you could buy all the materials that you would need to
Mm.
make it. And I
Mm.
thought, what a perfect place. This is the most perfect place I've ever seen in my life.
Mm.
All these different things a person can do, and there's where you can get all the stuff to do it right over there.
Right.
And I thought, oh my word.
Mm.
And so projects for me are everything.
Oh yeah.
And see, this whole business of needing to medicate is simply because the person hasn't found their project. They
Right.
haven't found their thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's enough things out there that if a person keeps looking, and the two best parts of any job, starting and stopping, starting and stopping. Oh, this is the one. I
Mm-hmm.
found it. This is the one.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe this is the one for this 5 year period,
Mm-hmm.
2 year period, or whatever. Is that okay? Of
Mm-hmm.
course it is.
Yeah.
And you find that then you go right back into the thing where you start and stop, try. Like we used to tell the kids, try it, taste it, taste.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
You don't have to eat it all. Just try it.
Yeah.
And so this life is just about finding your thing. And when you find your thing, you're not going to have to medicate anymore.
Yeah. So
It'll all
true.
go away. Don't you think?
Oh yeah.
That way you'll wake up in the morning, and this is the way you'll wake up. You'll wake up in the morning and you can't wait for your feet to touch the floor in the morning.
Mm.
I can get back to this thing that I just recently, um, your grandma taught me how to sew.
Mm.
She taught me how to sew in the sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And at 77 years old, she taught me that, right?
Mm.
And because I had these pants that I couldn't find the jogger pants. They didn't make them anymore. They're made by this company called Champion, and I couldn't. They don't make them like that. They keep changing, you know, for some
Mm.
reason or other. And I understand they change. So, but I couldn't find them, and so I figured, well, I've got the old ones, but they're threadbare. They're all worn out. I've saved them,
Mm.
and I thought, gee whiz, how hard can it be for me to try to make some? I didn't know how to sew. And so I asked your grandma, could you show me? Oh, it's easy. I got this amazing sewing machine. And
Mm-hmm.
so she taught me how to sew in about a half an hour. And so at that point, it was just a matter of me practicing. Was it fun for me to practice? I was so excited to practice because I wanted to have some pants that would fit.
Mm.
But then
Right.
when I found out making the pants was even more fun than having the pants.
Yeah.
Making the pants was a ball. And then we went to a yard sale, and I found the material to make these pants.
Mm.
And I got enough material to make 3 pairs of pants for $1.
Wow. Amazing.
And so I remember waking up at about 3 o'clock one morning, and I just couldn't wait to start making more pants. And so your
Mm.
grandma's sound asleep while I'm out there in the field. By the time she got up, I pretty much had them done.
Wow,
See,
that's
that kind
awesome.
of a project and that kind of a thing in your life, I think, defines what we should all be looking for. We should be looking
Mm.
for that thing that rings our bell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
And
sure.
what rings my bell is going to probably be different than what brings your bell. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about graphic design.
Mm.
I mean, I'm an artist and I like doing, but the thing, and I change. I've tried so many different, and you'd think, gosh, you're 77 years old. You must be running out of things to try. I just discovered sewing.
Right. Yeah.
And you're saying nutrition, and we're talking about sewing. It's a package, Riley.
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
package.
Yeah.
I can show you how to eat well,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to have to want to eat well.
Yeah.
And if you don't want, why don't you want to eat well? Well, it's because I'm not very happy.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's, like, probably the biggest thing from this so far. Exactly what you just said. It's a package thing. It's not just, "Oh, now you know what to eat. You're gonna eat it." You have to want to eat, and if you don't want to eat, you need to have the harsh decision or conversation with yourself and kinda dissect your life and see what's going on there. Honestly, because you can be honest with yourself. It's yourself, so just completely. Because it's like people don't want to even say the thing, they don't even wanna consider what they're doing is bad, or these things that they're suppressing in their brain, they're just pushing it back. But like you said, people normally don't change, and you will definitely not change if you don't do that internal conversation with yourself and be honest with yourself.
God, Riley, that's brilliant. That's the best. You just described this so much better than I ever could. Just did. You just
Uh-huh.
nailed it, buddy.
Well, thank you.
Did. That's it. Well, thank you. I mean, your podcast, I get such a thrill, as you know, from
Mm,
watching your podcast because there's always there's always gems. There's always
mm,
gems as you're just talking about things. And there'll be this really powerful gem, this beautiful thought,
mm,
this beautiful uh, message
mm,
that like the last one you did with Jax when you guys were talking about playing games
mm.
and you both unanimously agreed that you love to play games but you don't like to compete. You
Yeah,
just like to play the games for fun.
exactly.
And competition is cool, I think, but I think if you live in a society that makes that the main thing,
Mhm.
then you're saying, like Jerry Seinfeld says, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Is it about fun in life?
Mhm.
Does it have to be of just where you're so serious about winning that even when you win, I look at your face and it's like, I don't think you're having fun here, buddy.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
won, but you look like you almost like you're addicted to winning and you're not, the winning part isn't serving you very well.
Mhm.
I saw one of the comedians in cars uh, uh, drinking coffee.
Mm,
Sarah Silverman was on there,
mm.
and she had this friend, and she said, "I'm going to change your life forever." And the friend said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, your default face goes like this."
Yeah.
She said, she said, "How do you feel right now?" She said, "I'm pretty happy." She said, "You got to tell your face.
Yeah. That's funny.
If you go around like,"
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
the but coming right back to that, if you think you're happy and you haven't told your face, it's probably because you're really not very happy.
Mm,
And are most people very happy? I don't think so.
mm,
I don't think most people are doing what rings their bell. I don't
mm.
think most people know what rings their bell.
Right. Yeah.
Tried enough things to figure that out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Somebody, it's and this comes right back to some of the things you and I talk about, and that is just imagine if when you went to school, starting off in kindergarten, the teachers said, "We're so glad you're here today because what we're going to do, this is what this is all going to be about, is we're going to try to help you find the things that are fun and exciting and delightful for you.
Mm,
You're all so different. So what we're going to do is we're going to suggest you try this one and this one and this one and this one until you find things that are fun. And then once you get a sense of what that feels like, then you'll know, then that'll guide you. That feeling you get will guide you to where you get clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer about the things that are really fun for you. It's like navigating. You're gonna
mm.
navigate this thing, your own personal journey, and we're going to help you on that journey to help you find. So by the time you graduate from high school, which is going to be 12 years from now, you will know.
Yeah.
And not only will you know, that you will probably have learned maybe by the time you're in the 6th grade,
Mm-hmm.
where you can devote the last 6 years to where when you do graduate from high school, that you have it nailed. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go to 4 years of college afterward.
Yeah.
By the time you graduate from high school, you'll be a freaking brilliant genius at it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
so
not only
true.
will you be good at it, you'll be rocking and rolling happy
Yeah.
because you're doing this thing that you maybe were put on this earth to do,
Mm-hmm.
at least for today or
Mm-hmm.
something, for the next
Yeah.
10 years or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like I didn't discover my singing thing until like 10 years ago when
Mm-hmm.
I was 67. I didn't discover this that I could sing and dance and have fun with people until I was 67 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking for new projects, always looking for fun things to do. But my life is happy. And so
Mm-hmm.
why am I healthy? Why am I physically fit? Why am all those things? It's because I have insisted that in this red hot minute that I'm either doing what I want to do or I'm in the process of doing what I want to do.
Right.
And I've
Yeah.
crafted my life to where I'm free to make those choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Walt Disney went bankrupt,
Mm. Wow.
and he went bankrupt when he was pretty young. And and one of the business associates said, he said, I don't think you're going to do very well because I don't think you have a very good imagination. True story.
Well.
Walt Disney didn't have a good imagination.
Mm.
And going bankrupt
Hmm.
is a right. And the person
Mm.
says, oh my God, if I go bankrupt, what? I'm a failure, right?
Mm.
You can't go bankrupt.
Mm.
It's a legal right. Did you know going bankrupt is a legal right?
No, I did not.
It's a legal right
Hmm.
because it's a do-over.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Some people, I think, need to consider if that's their only option to start over again.
Yeah. I agree.
You got one life here.
Yeah.
No one is coming out of this thing alive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
why not make the most of it?
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
If you're heading in a direction, I mean, all these things that are maybe unsavory, like getting a divorce.
Mm.
Getting a divorce. Chances are, if two people aren't happy together,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything wrong for them to say, you know what? I don't
Oh.
think this is working.
Yeah.
Let's start over again. I love you. You love me. It just ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut you free. You cut me free. Then we'll get back to this thing of trying to find the things in our life that make our life fun.
Mm-hmm.
But to lead a life of misery because you're maybe afraid of what other people might think, that
Mm.
you're not a perfect person, that you don't have a perfect thing. And a lot of it's image. We want to project to the world that everything is okay.
Mm.
We want to project to the world that everything about me is just peachy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
Yeah.
about me is just wonderful. And if it's not, oh my, I think that's going to be an indication you're going to need to medicate.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how all the philosophy of all this is more powerful than the answers to nutrition?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I think maybe that might be a good time to call it with this, because I don't think we even need to talk about it at this point. We could pick this up at a later time, maybe.
Yeah.
How long have we been going now?
Uh,
Quite a while, I bet.
Probably. I'm not sure. I mean, at least an hour. Probably a lot more. Yeah.
And so these are thoughts that
Mm-hmm.
we've put out there for folks to ponder,
Yeah.
and that's the major thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can pick it up and build on this.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
because it ain't going away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can
I'm a
easily
healthy
do.
guy. I'll be here for episode number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we can make a part 2 and get into some other
Whatever you
ones.
want to do.
But yeah,
Anyway,
I think that's a good idea, because this was like already a really, really amazing episode filled with, it's almost like we were saying, there's that beginning part that you need to handle before you even get to what you're gonna actually eat, you know. So this is the part 1, and there may be a part 2. Yeah. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And subscribe for more podcasts every single ding dong Monday. You have anything to say, Boompa?
thank you all. Thank you. I love you all.
Love you all. All right. Peace.